In Tokyo, a group of people were traveling by train when suddenly, their train arrived at a point where nothing was left. When they realized that they had traveled far into the future, they tried to stay alive. The thought running through their minds was how long they could survive here and if they would ever return to their time. The story begins in Tokyo, where we see people busy with their work. Some were seen running to catch the train to reach their office quickly. After catching the train, they started using their phones, indifferent to each other, unaware that their fate was about to change soon. Here, we see a bottle cap rolling on the train floor, and suddenly, it disappears. As soon as it vanishes, earthquake alerts start flooding everyone's phones, causing panic. However, the train continued moving and entered a tunnel that housed a wormhole. As the train entered the wormhole, all the passengers lost consciousness. A little while later, when they regained consciousness, they tried to exit the train, which had now stopped. But as soon as they stepped outside, they were shocked by what they saw. There were no other trains in sight, only the carriage they had been traveling in. The familiar landscape they had grown up seeing had completely changed. Where there once stood tall buildings, there was now a vast expanse of jungle. The sight left them in shock. Among them was Sam, who started checking on everyone as he was a firefighter in real life and knew how to handle people in such situations. Sam assessed the frightened passengers, and we also meet Yumi, a girl who knew Sam from before and secretly liked him. Yumi admired Sam because he had once taught her and her classmates many things during their firefighter course in college. Back in 2023, people were equally anxious as no one could comprehend how two carriages of a moving train could disappear. The situation was clear, not just one, but two carriages had vanished, with the second carriage's whereabouts still unknown. Government officials began inspecting the tunnel from which the carriages had disappeared. Meanwhile, they noticed a light coming from the other side, leading them to believe that all the passengers were still there. On the other side, Sam and Yumi, along with another passenger, tried to figure out where they had ended up. They too saw the light and hoped someone was coming to rescue them. As they approached the light, they found that the employees who had been sent to search for them were also coming from the other side. Sam, Yumi, and the third passenger followed the light to the tunnel's other end, where sunlight streamed in. Climbing up a bit, they were startled to see a vast desert. The sight terrified them as none of them could understand where they had arrived. They recorded videos of the area to show the other passengers. When they returned and showed the videos to the others, no one believed them until they saw the footage. Despite their doubts, everyone had to accept the reality. The group grew more anxious, unable to fathom how they would survive there. The biggest concern was, without any human presence, who would rescue them? The thought left everyone feeling depressed, especially since none of their phones had any signal. Sam tried to calm everyone down. 7 hours had passed, and people were getting hungry. But no one had enough food to feed everyone. Some had brought snacks, which they decided to share. Among the passengers was a girl named Rennie, who started checking everyone's bags for food. Although she didn't find much, she discovered a pair of scissors and a government letter in Hayashima's bag. It was a prison letter, leading Rennie to suspect that Hayashima was a dangerous criminal and had trapped everyone to blackmail the government into reducing his sentence. Rennie yelled out to everyone about the letter she found in Hayashima's bag. Then Hayashima tried to explain everything to everyone, but no one listened to him. After that, Hayashima decided to go outside. Here, we see a girl named Shira Hamama, who was carrying a lot of fruits. Seeing everyone hungry, she decided to share the fruits with everyone. As everyone was eating the fruits and working, we see a boy named Katana, who was eating fruits and watching a video he had recorded earlier. In the video, he clearly saw Rennie trying to steal food from everyone's bags. As soon as Sam found out about this, he immediately went outside with a companion to bring Hayashima back. Meanwhile, we see Hayashima, who had walked quite far and was about to fall into a ravine, but Sam arrived just in time. When Sam pulled Hayashima up, Hayashima told him that he was actually a very famous hairdresser, but he still didn't tell anyone about the letter that Rennie had found in his bag. At night, we see the people there, some of whom had fallen asleep, but most couldn't sleep due to the tension. By the next morning, everyone had lost hope, thinking that no one would come to rescue them. Sam tried to reassure everyone that he would somehow save them, but Hayashima got a bit angry because he couldn't understand why Sam was trying to help everyone. Sam then told him a story from his past, explaining that one of his friends had lost both legs because of him, and since then, Sam had decided to help as many people as he could. After that, the three of them went to find some supplies so they could eat later. We see Hayashima again, who started having visions of his brother while walking with them. We then see a scene from Hayashima's past, where they belonged to a very poor family. Later, when Hayashima became a famous hairdresser, he fulfilled all his dreams, but due to being very busy with work, he stopped paying attention to his brother. As a result of his negligence, his brother became a big criminal and was caught by the police. It is revealed that the letter Reni found in Hayashima's bag was actually his brother's, as his brother was supposed to be bailed out that day, and Hayashima was going to get him. Meanwhile, we see some other passengers exploring the surrounding area. Although they didn't find much, they saw a large tower in the distance. They were shocked because the tower was supposed to be completed by 2026, and there were many advertisements about it. We also see a biologist who found a plant that was supposed to grow 30 years later. Realizing this, everyone understood that they had somehow traveled to the future. They were shocked to learn that the future world was in such a bad state. Back in 2023, people were still very worried because they hadn't found any clues about where the carriages had gone. They officially announced on the news that 2 carriages of a train had disappeared, with around 100 passengers on board. At night, we see Sam in the future, spreading a plastic sheet on the train's roof with Yumi to collect the dew. By the next day, everyone was very thirsty. The biologist mentioned that he had found a plant that only grows near a waterfall. Hearing this, Sam decided to find the waterfall to solve the water problem. He took the biologist, Yumi, and Hayashima with him to find the waterfall. They reached a mountain, which was quite high, and realized that there might be water there. They made a rope to climb the mountain. When Sam reached the top with the rope, he found water, making everyone very happy. From the height, Sam also noticed that where Tokyo City once stood, there was now a vast ocean. When he returned and told everyone about it, they became even more worried, unable to understand what could have happened in the future to wipe out everyone. At night, we see everyone sleeping. A passenger named Tanaka went outside to look for something and was suddenly attacked. When Tanaka told everyone about it, no one believed him because they thought no one else was there. Suddenly, it started raining, making everyone very happy as they finally had plenty of water to drink. They collected a lot of water to use later. The next day, we see the biologist finding some berries and plants that could be eaten. So, many people go outside to gather food for everyone, but we see Yumi who, while searching for berries with a companion, accidentally eats some poison berries, which makes her very sick. Sam gets very worried because he likes Yumi a lot. When Yumi is brought back to the train carriage, everyone there takes great care of her, and somehow her life is saved. Now everyone realizes that if they sit idly by, they will all die terribly, so from the next day, everyone decides to work together. That night, they gathered many things together and then ate them as a party, but everyone there becomes more troubled because some of them had collected berries that looked like edible berries but were actually poisonous. This makes Ashima suspect that it might be Tanaka's doing because they had expelled Tanaka from the group for trying to steal Hayashima's scissors. So, Hayashima angrily goes into the forest to find him, but Sam stops him and decides to go find Tanaka himself. Meanwhile, the biologist finds some signs indicating that there might be a river nearby, and if there is a river, they might be able to catch fish to eat. The biologist takes some passengers with him to find the river. Suddenly, an unknown man attacks them and severely injures one of their companions. They bring the injured man back and treat him as best as they can, but his condition remains critical. Everyone realizes that they are not alone here. At this point, Tanaka arrives and tells everyone that he used to work for a security company. If they allow him to stay, he will help them set up traps to catch anyone trying to approach. After learning this, everyone agrees to let Tanaka stay. Meanwhile, we see Hayashima styling Reni's hair and feeling much better after doing something he loves after so many days. On the other hand, we see Sam sitting with Yumi when suddenly they see a child whom they start chasing. Following the child, they reach a riverbank where the child tells them to wait and leaves. Night falls while they are waiting, and the child returns along with Hayashima. The child takes the three of them to a place where the survivors from the other carriage are. The people there had advanced significantly, setting up many traps and walls. Sam and the others are shocked to see this. Sam meets their leader, Yuma. Sam tells Yuma that some of his people had attacked one of their companions. Yuma calls the person who did it, and when the man comes before Sam, he apologizes. Sam then shares that he has found many things here, and Yuma shares information with them in return. Yuma explains that when they arrived, they found a boat with a radio, but the radio was broken. Yuma somehow fixed the radio and tried to find a signal. He succeeded and received signals from Canada, learning that they had actually reached the year 2060. He also learned that the world had been destroyed in 2026. Back then, all space agencies were launching many satellites to gather more information about space. One satellite collided with an asteroid, which then hit Earth, killing everyone. When Sam asks Yuma about the radio again, Yuma tells him that the signals suddenly disappeared and they never made contact again. After learning all this, Sam becomes even more worried about how to get his people out of there. Sam goes back and tells his companions that they have mistakenly reached the year 2060. Learning this, everyone starts to believe that maybe God has given them a chance to prevent the future disaster. Knowing this, everyone tries to figure out a way to return to the past, but despite thinking long and hard, no one comes up with any ideas. They go to a nearby pond, and after bathing for a while, they catch many fish. We see Tanaka feeling very lonely because no one talks to him properly, and he is not interested in staying with anyone. So he uses some nearby bushes to make a friend to sit and talk with. While looking for food, we see the biologist with a strange green stone. Tanaka also sees this and goes to Yuma to tell him. When Yuma learns that the other group has found some green stones that might help them return home, he gives Tanaka something to eat. In return, Tanaka promises Yuma that he will inform him as soon as he gets more information about the other group. We then see Reni and Yumi talking when suddenly they start arguing. In anger, Reni pushes Yumi, who falls into a pit with a human corpse, shocking everyone. Meanwhile, we see Tanaka reading a newspaper while eating fish. We return to Reni and Yumi, who are approached by some people from Kei's group. As soon as they arrive, they attack Reni and Yumi. Reni somehow managed to save her life and escape, but Yumi was still trapped. Reni ran straight to Sam and told him everything that had happened. Sam immediately set out with Hayashima to rescue Yumi. By the time they reached the place where Yumi and the Carrot 6 people had been, Yumi and the Carrot 6 people had already left. We then see Yumi trying to escape from them and hiding in a boat. On the other hand, we see Sam and Hayashima who went to attack the Carrot 6 people. When Yuma found out that his companions had done such a thing, he apologized to Sam and promised to find and bring Yumi back at any cost. However, Sam suspected that Yuma might be hiding Yumi, so he told him about the corpse they found near the Carrot 6 people's hideout. After hearing this, Yuma began to tell his story of how he became the leader. When they arrived, one person became very aggressive and panicked. Yuma tried to calm him down, but when the man didn't listen and attacked Yuma killed him in self-defense. Since then, everyone there saw Yuma as their leader, and the corpse belonged to that man. When Sam and Hayashima learned about this, they returned to their base and tried to make some weapons. Meanwhile, Yuma returned to his boat and tried to contact people on the radio. Yumi, who was hiding in the boat, saw Yuma doing this and realized that he was deceiving everyone because the radio wire was actually broken. When Yumi confronted Yuma about this, he confessed that he wanted to remain the leader and did not want to return to the past because no one paid attention to him there. Yumi decided that as soon as she got out of there, she would tell everyone the truth. Yuma tried to stop her, but when Yumi refused to listen, he tied her up and left. At night, we see Sam and his companions who had made many weapons and were determined to attack the Carrot 6 people the next day. 2 people decided to find a building where they could stay if they lost the battle because the Carrot 6 people were much stronger. The next day, they went to find such a place. Meanwhile, the Carrot 5 people were about to attack the Carrot 6 people when the Carrot 6 people arrived and attacked them first. The battle became intense, with Sam's team and Yuma's team overpowering each other. Yuma tried to stop everyone, but the fight continued until Yumi arrived, having escaped. She exposed all of Yuma's lies and told everyone how he had been deceiving them. Yuma explained that he did all this to keep people's hope alive, so they wouldn't lose hope of returning to the past. If they lost hope, many might commit suicide. Sam appreciated this explanation, but Yuma decided to step down as leader and left a diary he found inside the ship. The diary contained information about how Earth was destroyed in 2026. Meanwhile, the 2 people who went to find the building suddenly saw a tower with many green stones. In 2023, a scientist named Day studied the tunnel and discovered that a wormhole had formed at the time the train carriages disappeared, caused by a supernova explosion. A supernova explosion occurs when a star releases a large amount of energy as it dies. The wormhole connected the timelines of 2023 and 2060. In 2060, a person was explaining this supernova phenomenon to the other passengers when a huge storm started. Everyone returned to the carriage that brought them to 2060. The storm was so strong that Tanaka decided to enter the tunnel from which the train had emerged. He opened the emergency gate of the carriage, and when they entered the tunnel, they saw a wormhole slowly pulling in light objects around it. It even pulled in the doll that Tanaka had made to combat his loneliness. They were still trying to understand the wormhole when suddenly the storm outside completely stopped. As soon as the storm stopped, the wormhole also closed completely. The scene then shifts back to 2023, where we see a detective standing at the same spot where Tanaka's doll had disappeared into the wormhole. Suddenly, the doll reappears and hits the detective, leaving him shocked. Meanwhile, in 2060, Sam and his companions realized that to recreate the wormhole, they needed a solenoid object and electricity. So they started searching for a power station buried underground. After several hours of effort, they successfully found the power station, buried in such a way that it seemed like it had never existed before. Sam and his companions collected the necessary items and returned to the carriage. They planned to use a corner of the carriage as a solenoid. As soon as they started supplying electricity, a wormhole began to form, making everyone very happy. One by one, everyone started going back into the wormhole, but Tanaka stayed behind because he didn't want to leave. Everyone said their final goodbye to Tanaka and climbed back into the carriage. As soon as the storm started outside, the wormhole reopened, and the carriage went through it. When they woke up, someone was knocking on their door from the outside. When the door opened, they realized they had mistakenly arrived in 2026, the year the Earth was supposed to be destroyed. They tried to explain to the people there that they had come from the past and that the Earth would be destroyed this year, but no one believed them. Everyone thought they were just hallucinating. The news went viral that the carriage that had disappeared in 2023 had suddenly arrived in 2026. However, most people still didn't believe that these were the same people who had disappeared. But later, when their medical examination was conducted, it was confirmed that they were indeed the same people who had disappeared in 2023. Some people around the world believed their story, while others tried to dismiss them as crazy. Meanwhile, we see Ray, who immediately goes to meet them after learning about the situation because he had also read about the asteroid that was supposed to hit Earth soon. We also see another passenger who held a high position in the government and was very wealthy. She went straight to talk to the defense minister, who listened carefully and explained that they were already working on it because an asteroid was indeed about to hit. They were trying to build a missile that could change the asteroid's direction. Knowing this gave the woman a sense of relief, and she informed the rest of the team. The day finally arrived when the asteroid was supposed to hit. Everyone was holding their breath, unsure if they would survive. They gathered together to watch the news, where they learned that the military had successfully changed the asteroid's direction, saving humanity. Everyone was overjoyed, and the series ended here. If you liked it, please subscribe to the channel, select the bell notification, and like the video.